Hi, this is Linda with Watery Wishes, and today's project is an art journal using a Simon Says stamp kit called Sketched Flowers stamp, or stamp from the Simon Says stamp card kit called Sketched Flowers. And I had some tissue paper from packaging, can't remember for which. So I decided to stamp this large floral image onto the tissue paper, and I also stamped some of the individual images as well. Now, the idea behind this is that I'm going to use a bit of water and tear the image out and place it into my Dilutions art journal. I'm just finding a page that is a center page in one of the signatures in the book. And as you can see, I'm using a water pen to weaken that tissue paper where I want to tear it. Once I've done that, I'm using some gel medium to adhere that to the page. And once I put that image on, I actually add some more of those individual stamped images on tissue paper to it to fill it in down to a bit closer to the bottom of that page. And I put some up in the left-hand top corner. Here I am using some worn lipstick, seedless preserves, antique linen and stormy skies. I'm going to use these distress oxides a little bit like watercolors, or a lot like watercolors. And this is just to get a bit of color on the background of the page. This page hasn't been primed in any way, it's just had the gel medium and the tissue paper applied to it. And you can see when I paint where the tissue paper and the gel medium have gone. But that's okay because I'm just setting a bit of a base color around that floral image and a little bit over it as well. And there's the pages after I have put that bit of colour down. Now I'm taking a little bit of gesso and I'm putting this mainly where the gel medium was first to sort of help blend the tissue paper parts in with the rest of the page. And this will help when I lay colour on top. So now I'm adding a little bit of more interest with some scraps of Tim Holtz postal tissue paper. And this blends in really well because the stamp is stamped on tissue paper as well. And I'm using both matte medium and some gesso when adhering those down. Matte medium for glue and the gesso to help incorporate it into the page a little bit. Now I've got a little bit more of that antique linen. And that is to sort of give the page a little bit more of an aged feel. a little bit vintage, a little bit aged. I've actually been doing a lot of pink stuff lately, and pink really isn't my favourite colour, but obviously I like it in my art, so I'm just gonna go with what my artistic intuition tells me to do. And I advise all of you to try that sometimes. Oh, I think I just burnt my finger on the heat tool, which is why I dropped the Distress Oxide lid. So now I'm using that Stormy Skies as a splatter. And these are my watercolour crayons. They're Caran d'Ache Neo Colour 2 water soluble pastels. And I'm going to use these to colour the images in. Here I went a little bit heavy-handed, so I just used a bit of water and bring some of that up and blot it up like you would regular watercolour. Except because it's on a gessoed matte medium surface, it's a little bit easier to bring up than if it was on watercolour paper. So the good thing about these watercolour crayons is you just lay a bit of colour down and just rub it in with your finger, and it's really good for colouring images, but it's also really good for going around the edges of your pages and a few other things. And while I wouldn't advise everyone going out and getting the whole set, you can buy these crayons separately, and I would definitely encourage everyone to get a black and a white crayon. The white crayons are really good when you are doing skies with clouds and sea images, and the blacks are really good for framing your work. I actually went and bought some extra black and white crayons so that I would have them on hand, because I've actually started using them not just in my mixed media projects but also in my card projects as well. So here we are, just adding little bits of those crayons, and I'm using a damp baby wipe on my finger to blend that in. I just used a bit of white to fix up a little bit of a mistake that I made earlier. And in a way, doing this all with my finger is like sort of like loose watercolor. You know you're going to go out of the lines and you just don't worry about it. I quite like the effect these crayons give. So quick and easy. I've sort of been going towards the vintage feel in my art journal projects lately. I really liked how this one turned out. It's a very, very soft page compared to some of my others. And here I'm just using a messy text stamp from I think it's Prima Marketing, Finnabar. Now I'm using some Ranger Distress Crackle paint in Rock Candy, which is clear, and I'm liberally applying this. That's why I'm using a palette knife, because I want it to go on fairly thick. And I waited a few hours for this to dry. Now I've got some more of that Stormy Sky ink that I used earlier, and I'm mixing that with some of the Nouveau Embellishment Mousse in Platinum. It's the only one I have, and I find I'm starting to use it a lot, mixing it with watercolors to make metallic watercolors that are interference, so they go on black cardstock. And just to add little bits of shine and shimmer to my work. Now, the only reason I'm able to use such a watery medium on this crackle paste is because I let it dry without heating it. If you heat this crackle paste, it's more likely to lift up from your work when you go to scrub colour into it, and I think there's still a couple of bits come up, but it's not as bad as it would have been had I used heat on it. And I just find the crackles are better. The reason I'm using a very liquid mix here is because I wanted it to be subtle but still show the cracks. Now I'm just using up the last bits of that paint for some splatter. And here I'm trying to frame it with a Pitt Artist brush pen, but it's not quite working, so I think I go back to the Stormy Sky Distress Oxide. Now I've temporarily stopped putting product links in my video descriptions and my blogs, simply because it takes up a lot of time for very little return on investment or no return on investment. So if there's something that you want to know what it is that I use, just ask me in the comments and I will endeavour to answer your question. You can ask on my blog on my new site, which is www.waterywishes.com, or you can ask in my YouTube channel comments on any video and I will get back to you. And this is probably going to be in effect until I stop doing school. It's just I've got so many things I want to do and I just don't have the time to do everything. So this is the one thing that I can easily do to maximize my time usage. So that's the finished art journal with Simon Says stamps, sketched flowers. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you disliked it, hit the dislike button. If you did like it, I'd love it if you subscribed. I appreciate all my subscribers. I'll catch you guys in the next one, and have fun crafting your imagination. Bye.